made. First of all, okay, the 26% of the teams you're talking about minor league baseball amount to 42 teams, and you're talking about cities, communities attached to these particular teams. Bill, okay, first of all, I have covered minor league baseball for a lot of years, bigger cities as well as smaller cities, and I actually worked for an organization in 1987 in Gastonia. I have the utmost respect for communities and their tie-ins. I've even looked at some of the cities that are affected by it. I'm not going to get into that now because we don't have enough time to cover all of what we're setting out to do. But I agree with you. I think it would. I think some of the new proposals are saying that they're looking at cutting the the draft from 40 some rounds to like 20 rounds, and a lot of these got and moving the draft back to August. So I think that when you put the picture in its entirety, it is a major mistake. I don't care what anybody says. Now, who could benefit, believe it or not, Bill, would be the colleges, because at that point you're holding on to guys a little bit longer, you know what I mean, that ordinarily wouldn't declare. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Again, another discussion here. But let's get back to the root of what I'm talking about. 42 teams, 42 cities, lots of fans. And what about some of the upgrades to some of the stadiums that are being built with money lost that are either being paid privately or by taxpayers? Do you want a bunch of white elephants out there for stadiums without the ability to use them and bring in revenue? So there's a big money stream out there that so few people really recognize. Now, I know that in some instances they're talking about formulating a dream league, with undrafted. That's fine. That's so far-fetched, it's ridiculous. But think about it, Bill. You're in a smaller community. Let's just say like Billings, Montana, or Erie, Pennsylvania, just to name a couple. And they've even talked about a couple in Florida, Daytona Beach and now Kissimmee, Florida. Daytona's had a team there for a long time, and I know part of the criticism is attributed to inadequate facilities. I get that, you know what I mean? But the reality is this is where I think the major leagues are making a huge mistake, and there has to be a major fight here in order to prevent too much of this from happening. Because I'll tell you one thing, Bill, once upon a time, Major League Baseball tried to contract two teams, one of which was the Minnesota Twins. Didn't happen, okay? Never happened. I don't remember who the other team was. But it's not good contracting teams because you're messing with history and tradition, jobs, both players as well as the people that work at the stadiums and the emotions of fans.
Right. So you don't want that pendulum to swing all the way to the right and have it all be about money. It needs to stay in the middle because lots of these cities that are small cities, the kids need something to do. It's a big economic factor in a lot of these small towns. Kids can grow up and see baseball and fall in love with it soon. So, not everything has to be so, how should I put it, cut and dried. This kind of reminds me of the tech companies out in these large cities like San Francisco where, the culture is being destroyed because large companies are coming in and people can't afford to live unless you work for the tech companies.
Right.
So, we don't need to spread this to sports either.
Right.
Okay, sports is the last bastion of, it's played by human beings. Okay, it's human error. But when you have machines that are not even as accurate as human beings, and you're wasting all this time and you're destroying the rhythm of the game, ultimately, in the end, it'll probably go full circle, or at least kind of stay where it's at, or maybe go back to the way they used to do things. Because right now, watching an NFL game is really hard. There's almost a flag on every play.
Right.
And then you're watching these commercials, and it's the same commercials over and over and over, and it's the large insurance companies that are doing it.
Right.
Because they're the ones that only can afford the commercials. And, you get to the point where, I think the way things are today, people want to have a faster game. They also want to have it in their own backyard. They want to have choices. And so, in these small cities, particularly the rural cities, you need minor league baseball. All right, it's just something that I just think it's a huge mistake.
Right.
All right, and we just can't have everything about technology and and money and trying to get everything right. All right, last time I looked, that one of the greatest things about sports is not an exact science. Okay, that's part of the attraction.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things. If you've been around the minor leagues a long time, you realize it's not the way a community is bonded together by a team is really what it is. All the promotions and the fans getting involved. I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, how many? Well, when you're talking about eliminating 42 teams, a lot. I'm with you. I'm an old school traditionalist too. To me, to have a computer call balls and strikes, I don't know. I think that's crossing the line. Now, would I ever be objected to West Tech and umpires being graded? No, I'm okay with that. Everybody has to be held accountable some way or another. That's a different story. There's a certain so I don't care about certain aspects of tinkering the game a little bit. In the minor leagues, what they'll even do in the extra innings is put a guy on second base, and that to me is when you're messing with the integrity of the game. I have a problem with certain rule changes. Other ones I acclimate fine. The mound visits, I'm okay with that. The challenges, I'm okay with that. There's certain things that you have to do to move it along a bit, but there's a fine line in terms of how far you cross the line about how much change is too much.
No argument here, Scott. They just need to speed it up.
Right.
We talked about football with having a sky cam.
Right.
So the XFL is going to experiment with that, so that'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, but it's okay, Bill.
They're going to have someone there. What's that, Scott?
But it's okay, Bill, for the XFL to do it. Okay, let them do it.
Sure. But even if it works, then the NFL will copy.
Right, exactly. I've always been a firm believer, Bill, auxiliary leagues. And let me use your Princeton education, okay? I have a pretty good one, too. Auxiliary leagues can use this stuff, and there's no crime in the other leagues using it when you find out it's proven.
Exactly.
Right, I'm
with you. We're all in this together. If push comes to shove, it's good for everyone because it creates jobs and kids get better at their craft.
Right.
I just think that some of the you have to understand the NFL is resistant to change.
Right.
We talked about Colin Kaepernick. A lot of people agree with what he's saying. The silent majority is with him. There's no doubt about it. But this is a money thing.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and people need to understand that there's a certain arena that you can do this stuff in, and certainly you can. And the NFL is probably one of the most vicious things about money because you're not a human being. There's no concept of team. You're an independent contractor who gets paid to hit people, who's taken 10 years off your life with a shelf life of less than 3 years.
Right.
So and you don't have a whole lot of leverage.
That's true.
So if you're really, really smart, and I'm going to tell the American public a little story here, and you're going to get a kick out of this.
Okay.
When I went to Princeton, my whole goal was to want to be a professional athlete. It's all I ever dreamed as a kid, and I worked at it every day. And I wasn't the greatest athlete in the world, but you'll find that a lot of guys that play in the National Football League weren't great athletes in high school and college. They just kept working at their craft because they really, really wanted it. All right, and to play at that level, you have to really, really want it. Well, I went to camp I was lucky enough to write letters to all the teams. And I still have copies of these letters in my scrapbook. And I can remember I hated the Dallas Cowboys. Why? Because they sent me a letter, and along with all the other teams. So the other teams were not holding tryouts at this time. And, thank you for the offer, whatever. I did get one letter from the Washington Redskins that come on down. And but I got a letter from the Dallas Cowboys, and they went into saying you should do something else. The odds are of you making a 1 and so and so, and so and so, and it pissed me off because I'm sitting here going, you know what? This is America, and I got a machine telling me that I'm not good enough,
right?
And they haven't even met me yet. That's the one thing that motivates a lot of guys is people telling you that you can't do something when you know, hey, look, at least I want to try,
right?
So I was stuck in my mind. Then when I went to the Redskins, I went to training camp, and I had no whatsoever chance of making that ball club.
Right.
But I showed up every day, and I learned how to go through camp.
Right.
And I remember George Allen and the Dallas Cowboys hated each other, and it was that philosophy. of, man versus machine. And it was just like, George Allen, the first day we were in training camp, all right, gets up with an overhead projector and basically says if we go from 2.4 yards per carry to 2.8, we will win the Super Bowl. Okay, and this is the team we need to beat. And everything was around, the Cowboys. And you kind of saw that this organization was a little bit smarter than a lot of the organizations because of ownership. That's why I have some organizations just are always winners and always in the game, like the Ravens and the Patriots and those types of things, because it starts at the top. Well, I learned how to go through camp.
Right.
The next year, I go to a tryout camp. And it's got a few thousand people there. And I come into the Meadowlands, and I had worked my tail off. I bought a one-man blocking sled. I had my own personal trainer that I put an ad in the paper, and I worked for Estee Lauder as a management trainee. And I would get up in the morning and train, and then go to work, and then come home and train. And I did that for 7 or 8 months. And you want to talk about incredibly hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Just a man in a dream and a will to try to get better. And when George Allen cut me, he said, "You can play in this league." He said, "I like Ivy League guys. You learn how to go through camp. Come back next year. We'd love to sign you. Hang out because if somebody goes down, we may bring you on the taxi squad." That's all I needed. And he also told me to pull my teeth and get them capped. And I looked at him, and all I did was keep my mouth shut, listening to a legendary coach who was nice enough to call me in the room when normally they don't even talk to you when they cut you.
Right.
Usually it's a turn that somebody comes in or the line coach tells you like this. And I can remember, and I was with a veteran team because they didn't believe in draft choices. And, that was Joe Theismann's rookie year.
Right.
No, that organization was a little ahead of everyone else, but I was lucky enough to have them keep an open mind and allow me to come down and try out. All right. They signed Gerard Williams and I, and we went through camp, and it was great. Gerard had played in the World League. So I learned how to go through camp, and it was the worst 6 weeks of my life. I blocked 8 butts every day. It was the largest street deck in the league. The guy that I lived with was their 7th or 8th round draft choice, which is their highest draft choice. I think it was some All-American at the University of Hawaii. He left camp in the middle of the night. He couldn't stand blocking Dave Butts. Okay, and I kind of sat back and went, you got to really learn the National Football League because this is not fun.
Right.
And it's not like today where they only have one workout a day and keeping it hot. This was brutal. It was just working 2 days and just having to get pummeled. Okay. Well, the next year I go to the tryout camp in the Meadowlands, and I promise to make this a short story. And Coach McVay comes up to me, and he looks at me and says, he watched me. I ran a 40. I caught a couple of balls. I snapped for some punts and field goals. I played a little center. And he comes up to me, and I taught myself how to deep snap. So if you're going to make it as a rookie, okay, you got to play special team. All right? So the reality of it, he comes up to me, and he goes, "I want you to be my starting center. I'm going to build my entire offensive line around you. And I want you to sign. Please sign with me." I turned around to Coach McVay, and Coach McVay had just come up from the Memphis Southland in the World League with Larry Zonka and the entire ball club.
I remember
And
that.
they had dominated the World League of American football. All right, so I said, "I'd like a $5,000 signing bonus." And he said, "Why 5,000?" I said, "That's how much I owe my student loan." Now, I go into camp, okay, and we're playing the New York Jets in a scrimmage. And I'm playing against 2 guys up front that go on to be All-Pro, Joe Glecko and Mark Gastineau. And I'm just opening up holes you can drive a truck through. And the veterans are all sitting on the sidelines watching me practice. And they're going, "Holy shit, look at this fucking guy." And I was so far ahead of everybody else. I was 6'5", 285. They didn't have a weight room. Somebody had a universal and somebody stole the pins. That's how the difference in the organizations between the Giants and the Redskins.
Right.
And I wound up playing over 100 plays. In fact, Wikipedia edited my thing. They wrote it because the Giants were worried about me retaliating, even after all these years over with, because they left me in there without any water. And I actually have a video. You'll see how badly we were being hydrated.
Right.
And I never said a word, even though they ruined my NFL career.
Right.
Okay, why? I didn't want to be blackballed.
Right.
I wanted to play professional football, and it meant something to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was